Well, hello. Today we're going to build a kit from GCM Racing, and this is the diff kit for the Axial EXO buggy. We're going to put one together here on the center diff using the factory spur gear, which is in my case a 50 tooth is what I'm going to use, and we're going to build a front or rear diff as well. Here's a picture of the cup, and you can see we've got a fill hole here for the oil. And it's a billet machined hardened unit that fits just perfect for the Axial EXO buggy, and we're going to put one together here today. First thing you want to do is get your diff cup outputs and slide the O-ring on there, and we're using a syringe here with a 20,000 weight oil, and we're just going to lube up the O-ring here with a little bit of oil around the outside, and that ensures that when we put it together we've got some lube on the O-ring right away. And here we go with the bearing first. Don't forget to put the bearing onto the ring gear or onto the spur gear first, and then you can slide the diff cup just in just like that, and so that fits right in there just like this. Now the next step you want to take is to include the shim. As you can see, we've included new shims in the kit. These shims go here on the hole over top of where the gear would go before you put the gear on, and this is a really important step to make sure that you don't end up with friction on the bearing surfaces. It's really important for the diff gear, and more important for the cup. We also use a shim on the plastic spur gear because it helps to keep the friction off of the plastic. And just one more opportunity for wear. We're going to put a whole bunch of 20,000 weight oil in here as well, and we'll get the oil into the front diff as well. Now, I'm using the 20,000 as a lube. I will fill the center with the 20,000, but I won't fill the outside gear or the front or rear with the 20,000. And then you can just drop this on, making sure that you've actually got the shim in the back in the right place. And then the next thing to do is drop on the E-clip, and we'll get the clip here in the right place and get this mounted up. My favorite E-clip tool is actually a flat screwdriver. So with very little effort you can just push that thing right on there, and there we go. We've got the first step done on that, and we'll get the other side buttoned up just as well. So as you can see, we've progressed a little bit. We're just going to skip the part where I put all the gears and O-rings and bearings on, because it's the same for all the different components. So we're going to use a little bit of the 20,000 weight here just to go along the inside edge right here where this gear is going to sit and the bottom of the shaft. And I'm just putting a little bit of oil in here so that when the components go in, they have some fresh oil to sit on. So we're just going to drop that gear set in there like that, and we spread the gears out. And if you push down in the center, you can actually push your finger down in the middle shaft and then turn the output cup. You can realize how unbelievably smooth these things are. This is just absolutely butter smooth inside there. And that's just how we like it for a high performance rig. And we're just going to go through and button these up, put all the oil in here, and get the shafts and the gears in. And we'll come back in a minute when we're ready to stitch one of these together. Alright, so we've got all the center gears in. They're a little bit lubed up on the outsides and on the shaft. And we're going to put together the center diff here now, and I want to show you one of the features of the GCM diff that you just won't find anywhere else. You can just barely see it here, but there's actually a step right on the very edge of the material here. This is a bigger size than this is, and this little tiny step has a function. When you use this diff case here on the front or rear, you can see how it fits right inside the teeth. It fits so well that there's no play there at all. The diff is perfectly centered, and that makes sure that when you have this together, that the bearings are in line. You want to make sure that the bearings are in perfect line with each other from one side to the other, otherwise you got diff play and whatnot. And that's the other thing that the aluminum hard case does for the axial diff. It makes sure that when you've got huge amount of power pushing on the side of the pinion here, that you don't have case flex. I mean, that's just something that the plastic case simply can't do for you. I mean, the plastic case, I can actually squish this with my hand. You know, the plastic case is so soft that there's no way that it can hold the ring gear straight on the bearing and keep everything from flexing. It's going to be in constant motion. So the aluminum case cures all that. And obviously when we assemble these, we can thank Axial for these great little gaskets that go on. The gaskets will fit first, and then you can button this diff together just like that. Now the little step on the diff cover, the little step is an exact fit for the Axial spur gear. I'm pretty sure the aftermarket spur gears probably won't have this ring on it, but in any case, if you use the stock Axial spur gear, any one of the ones that comes in the kit, you'll be real glad we put this little step on it, because the step is a really perfect fit for that. And we all know how important gear mesh is, and in something like the center diff where we get to control the gear mesh with the motor, it's really important to have a diff case that actually keeps everything in line. So instead of just sticking 4 screws through it and hoping for the best, we've actually machined a little lip on the diff case that matches perfectly with the spur gear. And as you can see, I don't have any screws in it yet and it won't come out. It's an exact fit, so that when you do the final assembly on the center diff, which just includes the gasket and the screws, you've got a package that fits really tight. You've got the perfect gear mesh inside, and once all the screws are in, the diff case actually matches right up with the spur gear in perfect straightness, so that you can keep everything in line. You don't end up with a spur gear that wobbles like this, or a diff case that wobbles like this. Everything's just going to be right in line. So at this point we're going to just drop in those 4 screws and we will be on our way. And while I'm at it, I'm going to build the front and rears, and then we'll talk about filling them up with the filler hole, which is on the side right here. So we're going to fill up this diff here now. You can see it's really nice and smooth. I'm really excited to put this in the car and give it a beating. And we've got the 4 new screws in there, and everything's just ready to go. So first we're going to plug this thing full of fluid. I'm using this little syringe here, and I've stuck the 20,000 Axial oil into it. And I'm just going to plug it full. And when I can't get any more in there, that'll be time to put in the screw. And this is a great way to find out that your diff is actually full, which is actually a bit of a big deal, because if you fill up the diff not full, you're actually adjusting the weight of the oil that's in it. So all the 1/8 scale and nitro racers have been figuring this out for years. But basically, if you take a 20,000 weight oil and you only fill the diff half full, then you're getting the effect of probably less, maybe 10,000. So I'm going to try to fill this one up as much as I can. And you give it a turn there after you've got some in it, and that'll make sure that the oil gets around inside. And we can see there we got lots of air coming out here now, so we've got oil way deep inside there now. And I'm just going to see if I can't get the rest of this inside and fill that up. You can see a bubble coming out. That's great. So we're going to jam the set screw in there now. And the set screws are metric 3 size. They use a standard Allen key that comes with just about every RTR kit on the world. And that should just run right in there like this. Now keep in mind that the hole for the set screw is threaded only so far down. So what that means is you can actually crank the screw right to the bottom, and it won't fall in and it won't be sticking out. And that makes sure that it's tight and it's sealed. So our center diff is now assembled and it's ready to go, and it's also ready to be filled anytime that you want to top it up in case you've got a leak in the O-rings. But the way these are built, I have a feeling that Axial and GCM did a good job together in keeping the oil inside the diff, so we're ready to install this and make some noise. And that's the GCM diff kit for the Axial EXO buggy, for center diff as well as for front and rear.